Hi everyone, how are you? It's Mike Andrew once again providing a short video with practical insights as it applies to business and leadership. Leadership, what a topic. If you Googled the word leadership, you're going to get multi-million hits. And it's something that we all pay attention to, either as a leader or looking at your leader or your group of leaders. Very important in business and politics, military, everywhere. And what I've learned is, even though there's hundreds of thousands of books and articles written on leadership, I feel that you all are already pretty good experts on leadership. And I'll tell you why. If I were to ask you, think of the best leader or manager, same thing by the way, as far as I'm concerned. Think of the best leader you've ever had or you ever observed. What was it about that person that made him or her such a good leader? And I bet you can jot down a number of qualities or attributes that you feel made that person an effective leader. And if I did the same thing, think about the worst manager or leader you ever saw or had. You could quickly write down some things. So we already know what a good leader is. We know what a good leader looks like. More importantly, we know what a good leader acts like. But let me tell you what I think. Because for many years now, I've been a big part of what I've done for a consultant or with different companies is I would get involved with selection, interviewing and selecting people for executive roles. And I found that interviews are so difficult to get a sense of what type of leader this person is. It really is very difficult. I think the best judge of leadership is to do what I would refer to as a 360 set of interviews, talk to that person's direct reports or peers and colleagues and managers, because they've had the opportunity to observe and experience that person firsthand, what they do, how effective they are as a leader. Assessments help as well. But interviews are very difficult. In interviews, we can get a lot out of interviews in terms of their functional expertise and so forth. But leadership, it's very difficult. Oftentimes when we ask the question, tell us about your leadership philosophy or what have you done to demonstrate good leadership, you'll often hear, well, a good leader should do this and a good leader should do that. And we'll stop them and say, okay, thank you, but we're not interested in what a leader should do. We can find that anywhere. We can Google that and find out what a good leader does. But what have you done? What have you done specifically to demonstrate leadership? What are you proud of with your leadership? And some of his three things I will look for when I'm interviewing people into leadership or executive roles. Number one, what have you done to build the capability of your team? What have you done to grow and develop your team? So when it's time for you to move on, who do you have, or how many people do you have ready, or almost ready to take your place, based on the way you've enabled them, the way you've developed them, the way you've built their capability? Because that is so important, because that's what a selfless leader will do. A selfish leader will look out only for his or her sake. But a selfless leader is there to serve the best interests of the company, the organization, the department, the greater good, to sustain the business for the future. So what have you done? Specifically, tell me, what have you done to build the capability of your organization? Oftentimes I'll hear things like, well, I empower them and I build trust. That doesn't work either. I need specifics, specific answers. Number two, the other thing I look for is, what do you do to consistently achieve results and a high level of performance through your team? How do you lead your team to consistently achieve a high level of performance and consistent results? Be specific. Tell me what you've done. So performance and results through your team, and specifically, what have you done to build the capability to grow and develop members of your team, to keep the company prepared and ready to keep going forward into the future. Finally, number three, and you've heard me mention this on a number of videos, and I think it's so important that I'll continue to mention it. It's getting a sense, getting a sense of their integrity and humility. That's so important. So if someone does the other two, that's great, but it won't matter if we find out they don't have a certain sense of integrity and and a good level of humility. We often refer to that as the X factor, because the opposite of humility is arrogance and high ego, and that's when people become selfish and they're not looking out for the greater good. So, leading for results through the team, building capability of the team so the organization is ready to continue to move forward, and ensuring integrity and humility. Difficult to sense in an interview, but that's why we look at assessments and we look at doing sometimes doing 360 interviews to get a more accurate picture. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.